Okay, boys and girls, it's breakdown time. And as you've probably noticed, I'm doing it by myself. You guys seem to like that every now and again. So yes, here I am. We're gonna take our time and go through the chapter. I've taken a lot of notes and have a lot of things I want to say based on the things we found out. There's some things I'm going to touch on. There's some things I'm not going to get too deep into because it probably needs a separate video. We may allude to certain things that we'll cover later, but this is just a chapter to have an amazing discussion about Oda's plan. Not only his plan, but some of the themes he's touching on, and overall a great time. So this video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Surfshark, which is a virtual private network, is an award-winning VPN. You may think it's something you probably don't need or you don't understand what a VPN does or how it works. Well, I'll break it down for you. A VPN is your own private network that you can use to protect your information while streaming, shopping, or just casually browsing the internet. It's funny because incognito mode to some people is very secure, but fun fact, all it means is that your browser doesn't save cookies. Your ISP can still track your activity and collect your data. It also does not stop websites from seeing your location. Yeah, crazy, right? With Surfshark VPN, it blocks ads, trackers, malware, and even phishing attempts from users trying to steal your information. You can use Surfshark to protect yourself, and you can do all this with one account, because one account covers unlimited household devices. So to start browsing safely, click the link below, use code B.D.A for 83% off and 3 extra months free. Yeah, I get it. Knowing you're exposed is terrifying, but use my link and protect yourself and sign up for Surfshark. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump into it. Chapter 1073, Ms. Buckingham Stussy. The cover page, I always look at Vegapunk and I wonder what kind of drugs was Oda on creating this character and how Vegapunk consistently just blows my mind. We had a certain expectation for what he would look like and he just blew that out of the water, right? The cover story, after talking to certain people and just sitting with it, is Vegapunk, and it's similar to Tom. It comes down to inventions and creating things and not really caring about the outcome. Yes, on this cover story, it's saying these two people are trying to use warships or war tanks to fight each other, but it's basically flowers that bloom out of gunpowder. For Vegapunk, hey, I created a cool thing, it's harmless, but what if you remove that, right? What if you were able to alter it and then use it for what they want to use it for? Not completely terrible, but I've mentioned this before, Vegapunk seems to be somewhat of a selfish guy, doesn't really care about people that much. It's his way or nothing. And of course, in his mind, it's for world peace, but it's also mostly for his inventions. That's what he cares about the most. So in that aspect, I understand and I empathize with him, right? Because that's what he cares about. But in the grand scheme of things, from other people's perspectives, Vegapunk is a piece of crap. As far as we know right now, he did seem to care about Bonnie. He seemed like he cared about Kuma somewhat because he somewhat manipulated him because he wanted to get his memories for his research, not because he wanted to save them for Bonnie or anything. And then even for Sentomaru, he guilt tripped him, and even for Stussy as well. So Vegapunk, not saying he's a bad guy, he's just selfish and he cares about what he cares about. Just like the others in Mads. Queen caring about his cybernetic stuff, Caesar caring about his poisons and his devil fruit smiles, and Judge caring about his cloning. Everyone there is selfish, point blank period, right? Now, to the story, Stussy, she's not really a part of CP0 and she betrayed CP0, betrayed Rob, Lucci, and Kaku. The conversation around this is odd because it's devolved into a power scaling conversation, which I didn't think it would, but I guess two characters interact, one character falls, one character overwhelmed. That's where it's gonna go. The Rob Lucci hate, I didn't know it was that prevalent till I went around and I saw how many people were happy that Rob Lucci got folded by Stussy. Now, I think it stems from not only back then, but really how Luffy feared against him, because some people felt the same things about Apu after Apu didn't get knocked out by Luffy, and they thought, you know, Oda should have gotten Apu out the way, and I get it. But for Rob Lucci, as a character, there are not really many feelings there. He's fine, but people are holding just how they felt about the Luffy versus Rob Lucci confrontation against Rob Lucci, and they were so happy that he got betrayed. But not only because of that, we go back to Paulie and Iceberg and those guys, or Rob Lucci and Kaku, they betrayed their boys back then in Water 7, I should say. Now they're getting betrayed, right? Stussy was undercover, which is marvelous. Not too much about Stussy here. I think it is dope that Stussy, even though she's a clone of Miss Bucking, they've had completely different paths, which it could be a distorted future if you think about it, like what Oda's referencing last chapter with Bonnie and her powers. I do like the contrast there. In this back and forth if you want to talk about it. I don't look at it as a power scaling thing necessarily. Stussy, I think, probably could have more experience than even Rob Lucci. And in this instance, Rob Lucci was certainly caught off guard. He did attack Stussy, but it's just the way in which Stussy overwhelmed Rob Lucci at the time. I don't look at Monet versus Luffy as really a power scaling thing, even though Monet got the one up on Luffy. And Oda has always pointed out that at any point in the story, someone can get the one up on you. Apu has done it, Monet has done it, Caesar's done it. It happens. So I don't necessarily think Stussy is stronger than Rob Lucci or even Kaku, but she's more experienced or even more skilled or just a better combatant today. I mean, people could feel differently. It's not really a big deal, but I just think this is just something that happened, right? It's not really a fight, but Rob Lucci was taken out. He was embarrassed here. He was embarrassed versus Luffy. He's essentially come back and hasn't really accomplished anything. Oda has somewhat drilled down or driven the point home that every dog has his day. No matter what bad you do or the bad, quote unquote, objectively bad things you do, you will have your day. And so for Rob Lucci, he's having his time now where you betray and you've gotten betrayed. You got a taste of your own medicine, and then Stussy got a taste of you. All right. Back then when we saw that the authority levels of the Seraphim, the Gorosei being one of the higher ones, it was interesting. It was intriguing because I was like, okay, where is this gonna go? Well, now we know that it led to the Gorosei coming here. We'll talk about that towards the end. At the end of the day, Egghead feels like a showcase of the Seraphim, giving us some more insight into their powers, into their purpose somewhat, but also showcasing for the Vegapunks, the different punks. Oda is bringing us and the Straw Hats along for this ride and having them understand, yo, this is what's been happening, this is what's going to happen, and these are things you need to prepare for. I think Egghead is a preparation arc for the most part. The moment here about the Seraphim that we're going to drill down on is mostly Zoro versus Kid Hawk, S-Hawk, because it's important, and so many people are coming out with opinions and even translation things that we may have missed because Oda is somewhat telling us more about a specific character through Zoro and through S-Hawk. S-Hawk goes after Lilith, Zoro steps in, and Zoro's words here, they cut a bit deep, right? Because Zoro is saying, hey, I got a better look at you. You're actually a little more human than him. People have gone wild with the speculation as to what Mihawk could be. People say Mihawk isn't human. Could Mihawk be created as well? What is it that Zoro saw in S-Hawk to reference Mihawk? Well, I'm looking at it from a perspective of Zoro approached S-Hawk. S-Hawk seems to have some sweat, some concern at the strength of Zoro. And so from S-Hawk's perspective, Zoro is a problem, as we all know. Zoro is saying S-Hawk is a little more human than Mihawk because he's never seen Mihawk react or have a worry or have any possible human emotion necessarily, but we have seen some insight in regards to Mihawk and Perona and Zoro, and there's something in there, but he's saying that S-Hawk is more human than him. But shout out to my guy Sandman AP, always comes through the translations. Sandman says, after reading the raw chapter, I'm 99% certain that Zoro is implying Mihawk when seeing S-Hawk sweating. In short, Zoro believes Mihawk is much stronger and kind of more cold-blooded than S-Hawk, which is the more important thing here. Mihawk, I think, is in fact human, but Mihawk does not in fact show a lot of human emotion. I think Mihawk is always cold in regards to swordsmanship, and he does not show any mercy typically. We saw him when Zoro first interacted with him. Zoro showed promise and he still slashed his stomach up, right? So what this did was get me excited for Mihawk. And then somewhat solidified for me that Mihawk may be a top 5 character in the story when it's all said and done, because how can you illustrate a character that's less human than an actual clone, an actual created entity? What did Zoro see from Mihawk to say something like this? And Zoro, when he speaks, you gotta kind of take his words because they mean something. And this meant something here. And the Mihawk gas, it keeps going up, man. We saw what S-Hawk, well, he didn't do anything to Blackbeard, but he didn't back down from Blackbeard. Zoro took one look at S-Hawk and said, yeah, you're not that guy. You're just a mere imitation. You don't even come close. Because Mihawk would never sweat to Zoro as he is now, coming at him with just standard attacks, like a standard blitz. S-Hawk was a bit worried. He felt the overwhelming power from the King of Hell. As much as we want to gas up S-Hawk and say S-Hawk could probably defeat Zoro, etc., I think essentially he would still lose, especially since Zoro already beat a Lunarian, and I doubt this kid has better sword skills than Zoro. So if we had to gauge S-Hawk based off of Zoro's words, right, just based off of his words, which implies that Zoro is superior to S-Hawk, he's probably as strong as as a commander, first to second, but Zoro has eclipsed that, I believe. Not all of them, but most of them. Either way, we're diving a bit deeper than I expected into what Zoro words said, but a lot of people have been talking about it and what Mihawk could possibly be, because if he's not human, what is he? Maybe he's unhuman. Maybe he's the vampire that a lot of people think he is. I don't know. We're not gonna go that far, but that would certainly be interesting. What I don't like, and I've been noticing it, is everyone ignoring the Sanji speed feat in this chapter. It was somewhat subtle and small, but Sanji had an amazing speed feat in this chapter. What was it? Well, in the chapter, Edison is trying to control the surf, and in the midst of it, Jinbei, or S Shark, sent a beam flying towards Edison. The beam had already left S Shark's hand, and Edison was pretty much in trouble. We didn't know what had happened to him, but when you look at the last panel, Edison was saved by Sanji. So Sanji went from where he was, saved Edison, and got him out of the way with insane speed. Just on another level at this point, right? The Straw Hats are completely broken, and even after watching the recent One Piece episode, man, if Yamato had joined the crew, this crew would be the best crew bar none. I still think Shanks' crew is better, but if Yamato had joined the crew, I'm putting the Straw Hats over that crew. Maybe it's a bit of bias, but that's just how I feel. But now, initially when the chapter came out, the translations were a bit weird because it was implying that Vegapunk was going to disappear, the Stella body. The official and different translations confirmed that Vegapunk had already, for the most part, disappeared. This incident had occurred. Vegapunk is gone, the Stella body, and I presume Bonnie is gone as well. There are few assumptions where it goes back to Vegapunk showing Bonnie what exactly is going on with Kuma. Vegapunk could have been kidnapped by a third party. This is an important development considering what Vegapunk meant to not only the world government, but what he was going to do in regards to bolstering the Straw Hats. Something quickly I wanted to talk about in regards to Stussy and the people of the underworld and how important they are and why Big Mom possibly invited them. Something that people pointed out as well was that when Big Mom or when Judge was about to be killed, Stussy was one of the people that we did not see her reaction. All the other members were somewhat laughing at Judge. Stussy we did not see. And now knowing that she's a clone, or she could possibly have been there with Mads, it makes a bit more sense. But with Dufel being the benefactor of Mads, right? Big News Morgans being the person who basically controls the narrative in the One Piece world. Stussy being an undercover agent of not only being a part of CP0, but also being undercover, and working for Vegapunk. We still don't know about the others like Drug Peklo, but they're going to be important as well. I guarantee it. I don't think we can really rationalize just how big it is that Vegapunk is actually gone yet. We still don't know how it works in regards to proximity and his brain being connected to him. If he can be far away, how it impacts people like Shaka and Lilith and all the other punks. Like, do they have to upload if Stella Body is not around? Is everything super automated that they have to do this to continue functioning? We still don't understand the ins and outs of how this would work, but the Stella Body is gone. Is there a possible time limit before they actually crumble with the Stella Body not being around? There's so many questions now with Vegapunk or the Stella Body being gone. I don't know where this is gonna go, man. Let's transition now to Sphinx, right? Marco is already on Sphinx, and we get a whole somewhat flashback in regards to what happened, what went down. Now we see this guy, this Marine, and Marines are just always painted as the bad guys. It shows you just the culture that they have within the Marines, that there's so many bad apples, just time and time again, that the good guys, they stand out so much because they're few and far between. Good being somewhat subjective. This guy, a lot of people are speculating he's the sibling or uncle or cousin of Nezumi, the guy, the rat from Nami's arc. Marco left and went to Wano to help Luffy. This guy pulls up and says, hey, I need Whitebeard's treasure. They said we don't know about any treasure and they're about to kill people. Who shows up? Weevil, who people are now speculating to be the official son of Whitebeard. I do think Weevil is definitely a clone of some sort, but I do not think Weevil is officially or even has some of Whitebeard's DNA. I'm starting to think that Weevil is a failed clone, but Stussy or Bucking, she was lied to. I think Weevil is protecting Whitebeard's hometown, not out of instinct, but out of necessity based on who he is, or rather who he thinks he is. Entirely possible that Weevil is a failed experiment. The stitches show it, that he had some of Whitebeard's DNA. That's why he was there and he could not help himself from protecting the island. However, I think it's a bit deeper than that. I think what I had more of an issue with is Marco being somewhat cool with Weevil by calling him a hero. From what we know, Weevil has taken out multiple members of the Whitebeard platoon, or at least the allied captains. In the anime, they did say Weevil took out even Whitey Bay, who was at one point an official member of the Whitebeard Pirates when Marco was there. So that runs a bit deeper. Of course, Marco's talking to kids, so we just take it with a grain of salt, but I'm like, Weevil is not a good guy. Yes, he protected the island this time, but he's done a lot of bad. I guess this is his redemption arc, and I'm really interested to see where it goes from here, but Miss Bucking, there's some more to this story. It's not just as simple as Weevil has some of Whitebeard's DNA and needs a failed experiment, but he looks nothing like Whitebeard. He has the stash, but I wonder if some of this could have been a facade, something that Vegapunk did, made a mistake, and now you have this kid walking around assuming that's his dad. Now my question is, what was Weevil? Where was Weevil this entire time Whitebeard was alive? Did Miss Bucking try to get in contact with Whitebeard? Would Whitebeard knowingly have a son out there and deny him? No shot. Or he thought she was a crazy hoe and kept a restraining order up from her. I don't know, but it'd just be weird for Whitebeard to have a son, someone who was claiming to be his son, and to deny him entry onto his ship or just being around him. It's odd. So I think there's more to this story than him just being a clone, or maybe Whitebeard knew he was a clone and he didn't respect or accept him as his son. This chapter also confirmed that Weevil got dominated by Greenbull. I did not want to jump on the train and say Greenbull folded Weevil, because the translations that initially came out was saying, well, he just left with Greenbull. This translation is confirmed that they could not do anything. They could not do anything to Greenbull, and it's tough because Weevil's strength is not necessarily established. Yes, he has the strength of a young Whitebeard. Okay. What does that mean? How strong was young Whitebeard? How young Whitebeard we're talking about? Before rocks? It's super vague on purpose, and so it's hard to even look at Greenbull as saying this is a feat, considering I don't know what this means and how strong Weevil actually is. Everyone talks about his monster strength, and Greenbull, for the most part, did this before going to Wano, so he made short work of him. Granted, a lot of people don't respect the Admiral's strength, but I think it's clear the Admirals stand easily above commanders, but we have to wait and see. I am interested in what Weevil and what comes from him going forward. The major part of the chapter that everyone is referencing and talking about losing their mind, making theories, is the fact that Kizaru is on his way to Egghead, confirmed, and we see him here, but also J. Garcia Saturn, one of the 5 elder planets? Why did I say planets and not stars? Well, before that, people are referencing Kizaru's dialogue, right? And how he's even speaking to his subordinate. Sandman referenced to Kizaru's dialogue and his pattern of speech. It was a lot more aggressive than he's ever been, which shows that Kizaru holds the Gorosei to a higher level or a higher standard where he's stern with his subordinate, which does imply we may see a more serious Kizaru because, hey, there's something here that he has to protect. But let's talk about Saint Garcia Saturn. The theory that's been going around the community based on the Japanese speakers and just what's out there is that the 5 elder stars really means 5 elder planets, and they have different representation and different meanings that is not easily seen through English readers or just through translations, because it goes back to Japanese lore and just Japanese interpretations. Long story short, the other Gorosei, they will have different planets and different connections to ancient Roman gods, etc., and that could tell the story of the One Piece world and different powers that they may have. That's a deeper theory, but the thing people are talking about mostly is how this ties to what is his purpose in coming to Egghead. Here's something as well. They left before it was confirmed that Luffy was on Egghead. They left to procure whatever is going on in Egghead, and he left with Kizaru. With Vegapunk gone, they are currently the authority on the island, so Saint J. Garcia will have the control of the Seraphim, but I wonder what is the true purpose. Again, more than likely they left to secure the assets, considering just the Seraphim and Vegapunk confirming these are the strongest beings in existence, and the world government after abolishing the Shichibukai, they need them. So they went out personally to procure them. But why? Why would he go? There has to be some other reason. The question is whether or not these people are strong. Are they formidable? They have scars. So in the One Piece world, they should be strong, but somebody like Cricket has scars, right? Cricket is not overly strong, but a member of the Gorosei has what we presume to be a supreme grade blade. So you have to be somewhat formidable or just be the person on top. It's a weird thing, but Saint J. Garcia going to Wano, or going to Egghead, not Wano, is such an amazing thing considering we have never seen these people outside of Mary Joa. He has Kizaru with him as well, seems to be very subservient. People are saying, well, this is why Garp didn't want to go. He doesn't want to actually serve the Gorosei, where Kizaru is literally serving him, right? There's also the mention of just how the old guard is on the move. It's kind of the last hurrah for the old people, like Garp, like St. J. Garcia, like Stissy. No, not Stissy. Stissy's older, but she's not like those guys. But they're all making their move at this point, which could spell desperation, or it could be the last straw. Now, for the Straw Hats, the Gorosei mean nothing to them. Like when they see him, they're gonna be like, okay, who is this guy? Robin more than likely will break down exactly and say, hey, this is one of the 5 elder stars. I've only heard rumors. I've only heard Dragon them talk about him, but these are the people that are in control of the world. They tell the admirals what to do. They tell the Marines what to do. and he is one of them. Now, I think we may see somewhat of a comparison or a parallel. Do you guys remember when Kizaru was trying to get to Whitebeard and those guys made an attack and it's not that easy to get to the king? We may see something similar where one of the Straw Hats, somebody else, tries to attack St. J. Garcia and Kizaru says it's not that simple, guys. You can't touch the king that easily. There's a lot more to get to because the St. J. Garcia Saturn theory, it just goes back to One Piece. You think about the Professor Clover image where all the planets, or people presuming it was moons, now people are saying it's planets, how it connects to the Automata, the Seraphim, Tsukimi, and Nell. Like, there's so many connections people are making in regards to just Saint Garcia being here and his name being revealed, which I probably will cover in another video because I think it's important to do so. The One Piece world, it is converging and we're getting more answers and the puzzle pieces are coming together. But guys, those are my thoughts on the chapter. Fantastic chapter. No complaints from me in regards to just the structure of it. The more I read it, the more I enjoy it. The more things that are revealed outside of just face value, the more I'm like, man, this was fantastic. And this is so important in regards to One Piece. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? What do you think about the St. J. Garcia stuff? What do you think about the Mihawk and Zora stuff? What do you think about Sanji's speed feed? And guys, where's Vegapunk? Who kidnapped him? Is that where Shiryu was? But give me your thoughts. Make sure you like the video. If you did, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BrogDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BrogD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Guys, Mihawk is human, but he just has traits that make people feel that he's not human. That boy is cold-blooded. Maybe he is a vampire. But anyway, we catch you guys in the next one. Peace.